The eclipse, they've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to happen. So all these folks who are saying, you know, it's a sign from God, God doesn't give you warning. Okay? You think he gave people at the Tower of Babel warning? Oh, I'm about to jack y'all up? No. God does stuff, and then you figure, oh, that's probably because I just, you know, I mean, it's no.
This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. The Rapture is trending, and of course it's trending. They want it to trend because they want to look at people who date set the Rapture during the eclipse and make fun of them. Now, we can all look at this from a lot of different perspectives, can't we? Now, I'm obviously not somebody who ever pushes Rapture theory, nor do I ever date set. I show you a lot of the signs, the symbols, and of course, a lot of the narratives that are out there and how this whole thing works, because it's a psychological war just as much as it's a spiritual war, more so spiritual. But the psychological aspect of the things going on, everybody has to always be on their toes and realize that they're always trying to manipulate you and coerce you. So the Rapture is trending so that they can make fun of Christians, of course, right? Any other religion, if it was trending, if we had something trending about bagels, let's just say hypothetically we got bagels trending, right? Well, of course it would never trend because that's hate speech, right? They would throw us off the internet. They'd have somebody probably come to our home and they try to arrest us. In many countries, you can go to prison for making a mockery of other people's beliefs. But when it comes to Christianity, not only will they make sure it goes viral, they'll make sure it goes viral for a long time. So the Rapture has been trending for over 24 hours on Twitter because of the people out there who date set with the Rapture. Now, I have to show you some really important clips as well as how this is now in the mainstream. Right? They're pushing in the mainstream, Newsweek, etc. Rapture theory, mocking Christians, and this is what they want. This is why they probably, in some cases with 501c3s, pay these ministers to go out there and date set. Because anytime there's a date setting that's done, we all know it's going to come and go and nothing's going to occur. But the people out there hear this, they lump us all into it. There's people who literally come to my channels after I tell you there isn't going to be a rapture, and they say that I false set a rapture, I false said that this was going to happen, I false said that was going to happen. They always do it because they don't even need to listen to what you say. They just automatically lump all Christians into this basket, just like they lump all of us who talk about conspiracy facts into the same basket as Alex Jones, into the same basket as Q. This is all psychologically done by design. So I have to play for you some of the stuff that's out there from The View, okay? Because on The View, they brought up the Rapture, and of course you have these, I mean, it's so painful to sit there, but you got to hear this clip where you have this woman talking about the Rapture. She's comparing it to cicada. She can't even pronounce the word, and the earthquake. And they're saying, again, this is how they want people to think and act. And then when nothing happens, this leads people away from God, and it lets them openly mock and discourage people from being actual followers of Christ. Now, this woman plays the role of a Christian, and she somehow ties in the eclipse with the climate change as well, with climate change, which is also done by design because it's laughable, right? Now all of a sudden eclipses are climate change, and it just makes Christians look really dumb. But what you need to listen to is what Whoopi Goldberg says about how God doesn't show us signs. And somehow is allowed to say this stuff on national TV. Now, I'm fine with people, if they want to mock God, mock God. You're going to be held accountable for mocking God. God will not be mocked. So if people want to openly use their voices to mock God, that's fine, but I believe it should be a level playing field. That's why I think that this whole war and the stuff going on is so pathetic. It's pathetic that people like me and you get silenced, that we can't speak on behalf of God, that we can't defend God, that we can't point out the truth that's really in this world and the evil and wickedness that is in this world, that they prevent us. It's not a fair fight, because I feel like if people hear people like me talking, it'll help lead them to God, and people who have been led astray will come back to God because they'll see a lot of the wickedness. But they don't want you to see that. They want you to follow the cookie cutter evangelical Christians. They want you to follow people like these talking heads on The View. And then Whoopi Goldberg comes out. It's really important to note because all of these Satanists literally are like the people who are trying to build the Tower of Babel. Because when we think about the New World Order, it is the Tower of Babel rebuilt. I've been saying it for years. That's the mindset that people need to have. God divided the nations. He scrambled the languages, okay, because these people were trying to build the Tower of Babel. They were being disobedient to God, and they continue to be. Whoopi Goldberg says that God doesn't show us signs and warnings, which couldn't be more of a false statement. There are so many verses throughout the Bible where God talks about the signs and seeing signs. There's a difference between seeing signs of the times and picking a specific date when, again, the Bible tells us that nobody knows the day or the hour. There's a big difference between that, but I think we could all see the signs of the times as in the days of Noah, where we're seeing this disgusted wickedness around us continue to rise up, continue to be promoted, and it's only going to get worse. There's a lot more to come. But Whoopi talks about that, and then she actually has the nerve to say that the people at the Tower of Babel did not receive a warning from God. I kid you not. The warning was already written. The warning was already given to not be disobedient to God, which is exactly what they were trying to do by building the Tower of Babel. They're just butthurt about it because they were getting so powerful, they wanted to have more power than God. They wanted to defy God. That's why they were building the tower, and God had to put a stop to it. But look at this witch. Actually, look at the multiple witches here. Mock Christianity, of course, bring the rapture, attention to the rapture because it didn't happen, to make Christians look like absolute fools that just make up dates that, the more they can make Christianity look fictional and make believe and fairy tale like, the more they will push it, which is why they're pushing the rapture right now, because it just makes Christians look like fools. And then, of course, they talk about the signs of the times. They talk about Donald Trump's golf courses where the earthquake centered from. This is all obviously gaslighting 101, but listen to Whoopi as well. Let you know that the poor people of the Tower of Babel did not receive a warning.
So what's kind of crazy is with the earthquake on Friday and then the eclipse today, people are having all sorts of conspiracies about the end of the world. And then I read online that the earthquake epicenter was actually at Bedminster in New Jersey.
Right.
Fun fact. So it originated with Trump.
I know, right? I mean, I have to say, Karen Dupiche, our wonderful, one of our wonderful makeup artists, when the earthquake was happening, she put her coat on and she was like, Jesus is coming.
I'm out.
I'm out. I'm leaving. We've got a solar eclipse. We've got the earthquake. She ran down the hallway.
The rapture is here.
The rapture's here. And then also I learned that the cicadas are coming.
Cicadas.
Although I love
for the first time in
cicada.
No.
100 years.
No.
Two different. Well, this is what I read.
There's
two different times.
Two different kinds of cicadas.
Yes, two different times are coming.
The good cicadas and the bad
But
cicadas.
for the first time in many, many years.
No, every 17 years this happens.
Well, that's not what I read, but maybe maybe you know better. But
in a
will
way,
say all those things together would maybe lead one to believe that either climate change exists,
That's more
or
the
something
point.
is really going on.
The eclipse, they've known about the eclipse coming because eclipses happen, and they actually can say when these things are going to happen. So all these folks who are saying, it's a sign from God, God doesn't give you warning. Okay? You think he gave people at the Tower of Babel warning? Oh, I'm about to jack y'all up? No. God does stuff, and then you figure, oh, that's probably because I just, it's no.
So, you literally can't make it up with some of this stuff, right? Like, the people at the Tower of Babel did not receive a warning. How about the warning in the garden? You want to start there with about eating from the tree of knowledge, the forbidden fruit, how they weren't supposed to do? God has continually given us warnings and continually shown us signs. So Whoopi Goldberg just committing blasphemy on national television. But Whoopi, of course, will be, she'll be held accountable for her sins, just like we all will be. But the fact that Whoopi Goldberg is sitting there and she's defending the people of the Tower of Babel, right? Have you ever heard something like that? It's very rare that we even hear them bring attention to the Tower of Babel, right? I bring attention to the Tower of Babel all the time so that people have an understanding of how these things that we're seeing, where we're, like just for example, I always talk about how now in America, K-pop trends. There's music from other countries trending where you don't even know what they're saying, and it's trending. And then there's people in this country who follow and like it. They're like, I like the K-pop. And you're like, do you know what they're saying? They're like, no, I don't care. I like it, right? Because they're bringing it all into one. This would never have happened 20 years ago. You wouldn't see, some band from Spain trending in it. It would never happen over and over. They're blurring the lines, right? You see what they're doing with sports. They're bringing American football to other countries. They're bringing soccer from other countries to America. They're doing this on purpose. They're creating this on purpose. You see baseball, you see Shohei Ohtani, the baseball player, right? Japanese baseball player, whatever country. They bring him over. They make him into a national star. They are doing this by design, and people don't subliminally realize that's what they're doing. They're trying to create one nation, and in your subconscious mind, they're playing tricks on you by doing all these little things that make you forget that these are other countries and people. We're bringing it into one, right? They're attempting to rebuild the Tower of Babel. That's what they're trying to do. So You have the people on The View who look like absolute fools, and then you can even see the disdain in Whoopi Goldberg's voice. She's upset about it. Whoopi Goldberg is upset that the people of the Tower of Babel who were scattered for defying God, for being disobedient to God, that they didn't get a warning, and they did get a warning. Of course they got a warning, but I guess Whoopi and I guess that maybe that's the mindset of the Satanists in today's world. That that this is probably part of their doctrine. It's probably revealed a little bit, because I expose all this stuff, but it's not like, I didn't go through Freemasonry to expose this stuff and then turn or something on it. I'd be dead probably if I did. But we all study the enemy and see the stuff the enemy does. But look at the mindset of them, bringing up the Tower of Babel. This is probably the mindset they all have. And I know from all the books and stuff that I've read, and all the research I've done over the year, that they literally are so angry at God. The same way that we're angry at the devil, they are at God, right? We all look here, we get disgusted by the stuff that the devil is promoting. They are the same exact way. They hate Christians and they hate God. And that's just proof right there. You can see how much it was irritating Whoopi. So the other thing to note is that Newsweek, which is supposed to be, of course, a publication that gives us news, is bringing attention to the rapture because it's an opportunity to mock Christians once again. So they have an article out there talking about the rapture and how memes and Christians are the butt of an avalanche of jokes. The article says some people wrongly predicted the rapture would occur during Monday's solar eclipse, but that did not stop others from making jokes about it. The total solar eclipse, when the sun is completely blocked out by the moon, was visible from northern Mexico across the Midwest and up into New England. It reached across 13 states and was also seen in other parts of the world, such as the United Kingdom. Ahead of the lunar event, many worried the eclipse would signal the end of times, also known as the rapture. It is a belief held by some Christians, mainly American evangelicals, where a judgment day would befall on earth. Only those who were true believers without sin would be taken to heaven, and everybody else would stay on earth. Many point to the passage known as the Olivet Discourse in Matthew 24 on the evangelical Bible that refers to the end times, which will be signaled by a darkened sun, according to religious website The Harvest. The rapture did not happen, and people took to social media to joke about it, right? So some of the stuff that people were joking about was, putting up pictures of Jesus, holding a sign, false alarm. And then, of course, you have other people out there who literally were, going to locations thinking they'd be raptured. And again, I'm not... I don't judge people what they want to believe as far, if you have true faith and you're saved, we're all saved by faith. We're all saved by the blood of Christ. So if you have faith and you really believe and something's pulling you towards rapture theories, and that's, I don't lose sleep over that. What I worry about with the rapture is that people see these dates get set and then get discouraged and led away from God. It worries me a lot. I do everything in my power every day by doing the content that I do to not lead people away, to try to show them the wickedness so that they realize that this is all biblical and they turn to God. That's what I try to do. And the rapture is something that really turns people away from God. But things like this, somebody tweeted out, we made it to the beach and the rapture should be seconds away. And this isn't a joke. People literally did this stuff, right? Peace out, friends. People were posting all these things of themselves on social media that they were about to get raptured away and nothing happened. And then, of course, people retweeted it. It all went viral. Newsweek picked up on it. And the people who even believe this, they get discouraged. And that's not something that I believe we need. But again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, how to interpret things in the Bible. Only you could, look, I look at it as verbatim, right? It's God's laws, His rules, the stories we learn how to live our lives through the stories. And there's also prophecy in there. And again, people, they believe that the rapture is prophecy, that there's specific things in there that tell us this stuff. And then there's other people who go ahead of that, who try to date set, which I believe, again, is wrong. I do believe date setting is completely wrong. I do believe that none of us know the day or the hour. And I believe that is written very clearly in the Bible, but it doesn't mean you can't look for the signs of the time. So other things that are out there that Newsweek is pumping out is all these dorks. Some of these people, it just shows you what narcissists we live among, right? They put this stuff out there. They tweet out, they stage their home, with clothes laying on the floor, right? Oh, when my wife gets back from watching the eclipse, she's going to be so freaked out to learn the doomsdayers were right and she missed the rapture, right? So they make a mockery of Christianity. They're allowed to do this, of course. Of course they're allowed to do this. Of course it's just good, clean fun for them to mock Christians with this stuff. And of course, everyone out there who's new in their walk sees stuff like this and they feel embarrassed and then they feel led away from God. They feel like fools for falling for it, right? But again, that shows you what narcissists we live among, because when you stage stuff in your homes just so you could take a photo and put it on social media, that's pretty pathetic. I mean, look, I'm not going to judge you on how you live your life and things like that. But if you understand the psychosis of social media and why the government started the internet, and again, we know the internet of bodies, we know technology, we know what the plan ultimately is, at least we believe. My take on it is, right, with the mark that you've all heard, when you look at this type of stuff, these people, their whole day really does center around, like this guy was up at night, he's like, I'm going to put a shirt and a hat and my laptop on the couch. Maybe I'll dress in this in the morning, and when my wife leaves, I'll take the clothes off and I'll put it in a chair. So when she comes home, she'll say, hey, I was wearing that when I left. Maybe he got raptured. This is what these dorks do. And they don't even realize that this is narcissistic behavior, right? And you're putting it on social media. You're not even just doing this joke for your wife, right? That's even one thing, to be like, oh, I'm going to mess with my wife. I'm going to mess with my boyfriend and just, do a little tease, a joke, whatever. You can have a sense of humor. No, this is for the world to see, right? Because you think you're so smart and funny. But again, if we talked about if we made a mockery of anybody else, we made a mockery of bagels, the bracelets, the chops, the hats, the tiny ones. Oh my goodness, forget about it. Even amongst right now the division with the conflict over there, people like us who don't buy into what they're really doing because we know what's going on is attacks on citizens. But if we called out a lot of the teachings in those books, it would automatically be a red flag. We'd be thrown off the internet for doing it. So this is the danger of the rapture, right? This is the danger of date setting. Now, they're a little bit different, obviously. You could believe in the rapture. The date setting thing is just a real, it's a problem. It becomes more and more of a problem. And every year, September 23rd, every type of eclipse, people, and what Christians don't realize too, is that when we talk about the eclipse and things like that, there is a way to manufacture these events. A lot of people don't even believe it was a real eclipse if you read a lot of the theories out there. Now, I try to give you, a viewpoint of the stuff that I'm seeing. Okay, but we know there's an artificial sun. We know they can manipulate weather. So why wouldn't they be able to manipulate an eclipse? Why wouldn't they do a test run if they can do it, right? There's people out there like, oh, that's insane. Christians don't even want to believe that that's possible, right? But they'll believe somebody else who gives a date set because it gives them false hope, right? But we don't need false hope here on earth. We don't need a date. We're saved through the blood of Christ. We're saved through faith. So if God calls on us to endure longer and longer, that's the least that we could do, is endure and try to get the word out to people about what's going on. That's why I continue to fight this battle. I continue to, look where I'm at now with my channel. Some people are like, that's so good that you even have that many people. Well, I do make a lot of content. I work my rear end off around the clock. I'm uploading content. I rarely take days off. If I take a day off, it means that I either have an appointment that I have to go to or something, or I literally just need a break and I need to be outside and away from this stuff, right? Which of course we all need. It's healthy to do that. But, I put a lot of stuff out there and look where I'm at, where I used to be at and where I'm at now. That doesn't deter me, right? God called us to endure. What other, Christians have gone through history is so much more than we've ever gone through as far as endurance. Now, psychologically, what we're going through now is probably a little bit more intense than what people went through 100, 200 years ago. But we could look at it though, and we could say that, but then living back then when every day you woke up and you couldn't find food and all these other things, it might have been difficult then too, right? I'm not saying it wasn't difficult. I mean, psychologically though, we are under attack from every corner. We're seeing this getting gaslit. We're trying to decipher what's real, what's not. There's a false perception of what's real and what's not. They manipulate the news, the truth, everything else. They silence us. So there's a lot of stuff psychologically that's different, but God does call on us to endure. So the rapture, again, people like to believe because it gives them a hope here. Some people believe that it is sound doctrine to believe. That's your take on it. But date setting, I believe, is wrong. I've always said that. I've always warned against it. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about a specific day, because all you're going to do when it comes and goes is be discouraged. That's all you're going to be. And you're going to look for another day, right? But what I believe we should be doing, and I'm not one to tell you how to live your life, is I believe we should be looking at every day as a gift, because life is a gift, as tough as it is to be alive right now. And we should be looking at ways that we could help other people, lead other people to God in a time period where so many are being gaslit away from God and believing in the false lies of the world. And of course, all these false lies come directly from the father of this world, the devil himself. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always and your families.